Okay, so if you put a bunch of people together and ask them to achieve something, the chances are there will be a disagreement or two. Conflict is a natural part of working in teams, and it can occur for a number of reasons. For example, it could be a conflict caused by processes, overlapping roles, or differences in opinion. Sometimes conflicts can be caused by external influences, but of course the classic reason is interpersonal conflict. Now, when a conflict occurs, there are steps you can take to solve it constructively. The correct way would be to take a step back and ask yourself some challenging questions. Start by asking yourself, why is there a conflict in the first place? Simply by thinking about the cause of the conflict could be enough to give you the solution. It may help to write it down or discuss it with someone, but if that doesn't shed any light, then try seeing it from the other person's point of view. Best-selling author Stephen Covey uses the phrase, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." By this he means if you understand the other person's point of view, then you can get your point across much easier. Finally, try to remember what's really important. What are your priorities? Is your point of view in line with the overall objectives of the team? And are you being true to your principles? Try to keep emotions out of it and keep conversations professional, but most importantly, be focused on a solution. Don't dwell on the conflict or hold grudges. Be focused on finding a win-win outcome. Although conflict can be damaging to a team's productivity, it's worth considering the upsides of conflict. Yes, conflict can have its benefits. Think about it. If ideas aren't challenged and different views aren't aired, then how do good ideas ever become great ideas? The Honda Corporation are actually known to encourage conflict in its design teams because they recognize that out of the chaos can come great creativity. So the right amount of conflict can be good, but generally, teams working in harmony perform better. So to be an effective member of a team, you need to be mindful of why conflict occurs and the questions you can ask yourself in order to find a resolution.
Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Bilha Bidamara, and in this video we're gonna discuss about conflict management. Conflict is an inevitable part of life, whether it's in the workplace, at home, or in any other setting, wherever people interact. However, conflict doesn't have to be a negative experience. In fact, when managed effectively, conflict can lead to better communication, stronger relationship, and improved outcomes. In this video, we'll discuss some effective conflict management strategies and provide an example of how these strategies can be applied in a real-world scenario. Recognize the conflict. The first step in conflict management is to recognize that a conflict exists. This may seem obvious, but sometimes conflict can be disguised as something else, such as disagreement or a difference of opinion. It's important to identify the conflict for what it is and acknowledge that it needs to be addressed. Understand the perspective. Once you've recognized the conflict, the next step is to understand the perspective of those involved. Take the time to listen to each other person's point of view and try to see the situation from their perspective. This can help you to identify the root cause of the conflict and develop a more effective solution. Find common ground. Once you understand the perspective of those involved, the next step is to find the common ground. Look for areas of agreement and build on those to find a solution that works for everyone. This can involve compromise, negotiation, or creative problem solving. Communicate effectively. Effective communication is essential in conflict management. Be clear and direct in your communication and avoid making assumptions or jumping to conclusion. Listen effectively to what others are saying and ask questions to clarify your understanding. Use I statements to express your feeling and avoid blaming or accusing others. Focus on the problem, not the person. When managing conflict, it's important to focus on the problem, not the person. Avoid personal attacks or criticism, and instead focus on finding solution to the issue at hand. This can help prevent the conflict from escalating and preserve the relationship between those involved. And for the example, let's look on these conflict management strategies can be applied in a real-world scenario. Imagine you're a manager in a small marketing firm and two of your employees, Tom and Sarah, are in a conflict. Tom feels that Sarah isn't pulling her weight and isn't contributing enough to the team's project, while Sarah feels that Tom is being too controlling and not giving her enough space to do her work. To effectively manage this conflict, you could start by acknowledging that there's a problem that needs to be addressed. Then, you could meet individually by Tom and Sarah to understand their perspective and identify the root cause of the conflict. Next, you could find common ground by focusing on the shared goal of creating successful campaign marketing. You could suggest that Tom and Sarah work together to create a project plan that clearly defines their roles and responsibilities, and includes regular check-in to ensure that everyone is on the same page. During this process, it's important to communicate effectively and focus on the problem, not the person. Encourage Tom and Sarah to share their ideas and concerns openly and honestly, and avoid blaming or accusing each other. And for the conclusion, conflict management is an important skill that can lead to better communication, stronger relationship, and improved outcomes. By recognizing the conflict, understanding the perspective, finding common ground, communicating effectively, and focusing on the problem, not the person, you can effectively manage conflict in any setting. Thank you for watching. My name is Bilha Bidamara. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.